Hello, I'm Rob Kelly, your county judge, and I wanted to take this time to catch everybody up on some of the latest developments here at the courthouse. This public announcement is really intended for the employees here for the county and the public, of course, but really for the employees. We've gotten some really positive feedback from the UTEEB events that we've done, and so we wanted to follow that up today and periodically with updates. Yesterday was a very stressful day at the courthouse, as you know, and I sent out a county-wide email to the entire county to clarify some things, and I wanted to use this time to explain to you what was going on. You'll recall that the county-wide email was to announce that there is no presumptive positive COVID-19 at the courthouse, and that all we had was a self-isolate situation. But it caused a stir, and I wanted to be able to explain that and put everybody's concerns at ease. And let me start again by saying here we are another day later, and there is no presumptive positive COVID-19 test here at the courthouse. What I wanted to do was to have everybody work from home and stay safe. And that's still what we want you to do. Work from home and stay safe. We're trying to buy a little time through this weekend to try to reassess things and see where we are. What happened yesterday was almost a comedy of errors, but there was nothing funny about it. I say that because we jumped to some conclusions and we operated on some misinformation, and then we had to scramble here at the end and try to get the thing straightened out. So I apologize for any unnecessary anxiety or angst through the whole thing. What we're dealing with is, at this point, the update that I want to share with you today is that this is something that I need to share with my fellow commissioners, which you probably understand, the public probably does not, is limited because of the Open Meetings Act, which means I can only talk to one other commissioner about something without having to have a public meeting posted and do it in public. And I have Commissioner Harris here with me today. He's my audience out here. We've been talking about, he's the guy that I've tapped out with today on this talk. And when we say tap out, what we mean by that is we've talked to one other commissioner, so we can't talk to anybody else until we get into this chamber in open court before the public. But I also wanted to make this explanation for the benefit of the employees that have been trying to figure out what's going on. And so with that, what I want to do is provide you accurate information and dispel the misinformation, some of the misinformation that was flying around yesterday. First of all, let me tell you that the truth of the self-isolation incident, there is no positive. There may be a positive at some point in the future, but at this time, there is no COVID-19 positive, presumptive or confirmed. What we had was an employee who was feeling sick and went to the hospital, to the emergency department, what they now call the ED, and was treated there and released. And the story gets confusing after that about what all was said and what was supposed to happen at that point. But in any event, the employee had the impression that they were going to have to get a call from the CDC. Well, let me tell everybody, first of all, the CDC does not call individuals. So if you hear anybody talking about the CDC calling you, that's not going to happen. What happened, I didn't get to the office till probably right about noon. I was involved in the ACOG meeting. But by the time I got here, we had all of the other employees in that particular office self-quarantined. And they've gone down to a skeletal crew. We had the official handled the afternoon, and I think her first deputy handled the morning shift in that office. And by the time I got here, there was a swirl of concerns, mainly having to do with what I call degrees of separation. The employees that were exposed to the ill employee properly were self-quarantined. And that is the proper procedure. Been all confirmed with Peterson. We've had a number of conversations about this. But then the speculation was, what about their spouses? Should their spouses be self-quarantined? And then it went one step further, and the spouses were concerned that maybe the people that they had associated with should be quarantined. And so this quarantine was growing exponentially bigger with each piece of misinformation. So I decided to pick up the telephone and call Corey Edmondson over at Peterson Regional Medical Center, who is one of our stakeholders and partners in our joint emergency operations center that we have over at the second floor of the parking garage from City Hall, which is where we meet. And I wanted to find out how all of this worked. And I want to compliment Corey Edmondson and his infectious disease nurse, Pam Burton. They saved our bacon. What a great group of professionals. They were on top of this, and it took us a little while to do it, but we managed to flesh out what the facts were. You've heard us talk before about facts, not fear. Well, fear was getting the best of us yesterday, probably midday. By the late afternoon, we had gotten the facts and overcome it. But what they wanted us to do was to shuttle back and forth to that particular office and get the information so that they could help us understand where this illness was in the sequence of medical screening. And it turned out that what we had was someone who had been treated at the ER, or the ED, if that's what it is, the emergency department, been released, and she was still sick, and she thought she was presumptive positive. Turns out she was not. The next step in the sequencing is to go to you can either go to your doctor or you go to the urgent care center. In this case, Corey Edmondson made arrangements for her to be screened at the urgency care clinic out on Junction Highway, which she was. And at that time, she gets screened for the normal diseases that we have this time of year, whether it's allergies, colds, flus, strep. And one of the screens that they use is what they call a respiratory panel. And that includes a number of things, including the coronaviruses that we're all exposed to all the time. And apparently, the way this COVID works is if you've got one of the routine coronaviruses, then you don't have COVID-19. So they screen for these things. And the whole purpose is to rule out. If you have the flu and you discover that you're diagnosed with the flu, then it stops there. But if you rule out that you don't have the flu, which in her case she didn't, or strep, which in their case did not, and then you go through this series of the respiratory panel. And they include a lot. I can't remember, maybe 20 or so different viruses that are all checked. And then if that turns negative, the next thing that would normally happen, and let me just say, she never got that far to begin with. So we knew that it wasn't a presumptive positive. When she went yesterday afternoon, she tested negative on those things. And to my knowledge, I think she's tested negative on those screenings. But that screening takes place at the urgent care clinic level. If you test negative on all the first screenings, then you get a doctor, you go to a doctor, get a doctor's order, and you notify the state of Texas, and they're the ones who pre-approve you for the COVID-19 screening. And the COVID-19 screening has been conducted out at the urgent care clinic. Next week we're working with Peterson to have that set up out at the Hill Country Youth Event Center. But that's the subject of a later announcement. But just letting you know that is the next step. You get an appointment with the clinic. You go in your car, and then you wait in the car, and they come out and give you the screening. That's what would happen. That has not been done. So that's we've learned now that we think for the time being that we're okay. Then with that screening, they take the swabs that you've heard about, and those swabs are then sent to the lab. And the lab is where the testing is done. There's no testing until it gets to the lab, which is not done here in Kerrville at all. The testing in this case would be done by the state of Texas. And the state of Texas is pretty prompt. We get those results back in anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. If you go to the private labs, it can take several days. But in any event, that is the procedure. And then once you get the results of that test, it's either negative or if it's positive, that's what we call presumptive positive. And that's what we had. The situation we had yesterday is we thought we had one of those, but the good news is we did not. And so it was for that reason that I went ahead and went to skeletal crews here at the courthouse and for everybody to work from home and stay safe. Now, while I'm giving you this briefing, and again, I'm talking primarily to our employees, but with the public's invited to know what's going on here, because I know you're interested in it also. There are a couple other house cleaning things I wanted to let you know that we've made some progress on. You heard me talk the other day about this potential problem with losing our 911 coverage. Well, Commissioner Moser has met with all the stakeholders in that, with the contractors, with the phone companies, with the TxDOT, with everyone, and they have worked out a procedure whereby they're going to safeguard and protect those 911 junction boxes. And so all of that is being very closely watched. I wanted them to agree on something. They have, and so there's not going to be any need for any emergency orders on that. It's all working out just as it's supposed to. I wanted to announce that our recycle trailers are being suspended temporarily just for the safety of our employees that have to deal with those waste materials. Another thing that I wanted to clarify that's kind of a county-wide issue is we've had some pushback and some issues over how to do your timesheets. And quite frankly, we're very, very interested and busy trying to keep everyone safe. And that has not really been a top priority for us yet. What I will tell the county employees, and so the public knows this also, is you're going to get your paycheck. And whether it's you fill out the timesheet as sick leave or vacation or even COVID sick, I know some people wanted to try to create an admin leave category that we don't have yet. We're going to work through all of that, and all of that is going to get decided. But you don't have to worry about it because you're going to get your paycheck just like you always do. And when you do get that paycheck, we'll sort out this other stuff later and figure out how all that's going to work. But when you get that paycheck, get down on your knees and be thankful that you're getting a paycheck. Because most of us out there in the real world are not getting paychecks. And they don't know where their next meal's coming from. They don't know how they're going to pay their rent. It's pretty gruesome out there. We are county employees. We are public servants. We are here to serve them in this time of need. And so let's be grateful for what we've got, and let's roll up our sleeves and go to work to try to help the people out there that need it the most. Now, that's not to say we don't want to keep you safe, because we're doing everything we can to keep you safe. So the other thing that I would share with you is there will be a press conference tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's Friday, March the 27th. It will be a joint press conference with all the stakeholders, be led by the mayor, be in City Hall. It will be live streamed, and you'll be able to see it on their website. And most of that is in response to the Kerrville Daily Times situation. But we've met this morning, all the stakeholders, spent a great deal of time working on this, and we would like for all of us to be able to make our press releases to the public tomorrow. And what I'm doing here today is this is internal housekeeping for us. The press conference is tomorrow. Also want to let you know that yesterday, Peterson Regional Medical Center saved our bacon. I mean it. They went above and beyond to teach us how this COVID-19 protocol really works. And we are grateful, and we are proud to be a partner with them in fighting this disease and through this crisis. I also want you to know that yesterday I did spend over an hour visiting with the mayor. We are in very close touch with each other. We had our stakeholder meeting today, which included the school districts and Schreiner University, our emergency management staff, of course PRMC, the city, and the county. So we are all working closely together. They will have their own press releases to you on matters that affect them. But with that, I want to remind you that we are here for each other, and we are public servants. And it's like the young lady at Whataburger told me last week, it's better to be safe than sorry, and we're being safe. And we will reassess things on Monday to see where we are. But for now, we are skeletal crews here at the courthouse. And so with that, I just want to tell you, work from home, stay safe. Thank you.